Welcome, everybody, to this week's show. This is the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. I am your host, Russell Gibson. And as you can see, the mighty Shaq Fu, Joe Foo combo is on the show today. Joe, what's up, man?
Hey, Russ. Thanks for having me back again, man.
Thanks for coming. It's going to be a fun show. What do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, there's just so much happening in this offseason. I did not expect a lot of this. Obviously, we got to start with the bombshell, which is Giannis. Giannis and Bobby Portis going to the Heat in exchange for the Bucks getting Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez, Kel'el Ware, Kasparas Jaquez, a first-round pick, number 13 in 2026, the number 13, lucky 13, unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, 2030. 2030, first round pick swap, 2033 second round pick. So it was quite a swag.
Yeah, it's a huge haul. I mean, you have to pay a lot to get a guy like Giannis, and he's still relatively in his prime, maybe a tiny little bit past it, but you're getting an absolute A-lister in this guy. And I think the Miami Heat the last few years have been trying their darndest to get an A-lister. So they've finally got their guy. And I think the other thing too is it's a very Miami Heat thing to do is trade away all their future assets. Like, this is not the first time that they've emptied their draft picks to try and get a guy. So I think for me, the really big thing is like, what's the rest of the Miami Heat roster going to look like? Because at this stage, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. They've still got Bam.
The going joke is basically it's Giannis, Bam, and a bag of potato chips versus a bunch of anybody they can get from LA Fitness to play alongside them. But what it actually looks like is Giannis, Bam, Wiggins, Tim Hardaway Jr. They signed him to a 1-year, $6.5 million deal, and then they'll keep and retain Davion Mitchell, the point guard.
I think that's the big one for me. Like, if you're looking at who is going to be the opportunistic guy who's going to benefit from this, I think Davion Mitchell, as the roster stands now, is like the really big standout. Yeah. And I think the other one too is Nikola Jovic, because that losing Jaime Jaquez, that really sort of cleans up court time in that sort of wing rotation, because they do like to play guys a little bit positionlessly. So I think that's going to help him. And then to a degree, probably Kel'el Ware stepping away is going to give him a few more minutes to play into it, isn't it?
Yep.
Bobby Portis is there. Oh, Norman Powell is there, isn't he? So then
Norman may get traded. So I'd hold my breath on Norman.
Why do you think Norman Powell will get traded?
I think it's a money issue. They could probably move him off for some pieces, and there's a few offers coming through that Miami can't match. So don't be surprised if Norman Powell gets moved on pretty soon. So yeah, there is room for him to move, and there's room for somebody to swoop in and steal him. And why not? I mean, he was basically one of their leading scorers last season, possibly even ahead of Bam, really. For most of the season.
There's no scenario he comes back getting paid $15 or $20 million a year, does it? Like, he's at least a $35 million player now, isn't he?
He would definitely command that after being quite steady last season. He was very steady, shot the ball really well, just a steady offensive scorer. So I wouldn't be surprised if some team offers him his $30 million and he moves on.
If you're buying into someone from the Miami Heat at the moment, who are you looking to buy into after this trade?
I think, look, Giannis pretty much stands to gain the most. He's been a bit stagnant of late. He's held his value. He's in a position now with a real finals contender. We always talk about the finals being a really good chance to push a player's value. Yeah. And him pairing up with Bam, and hopefully they can pick up some more veteran pieces to round out this team. They could make a real genuine push.
So looking at Giannis's silver PSA 10 value, it's currently trading at $7,100. Normally, the card we would look at is the silver PSA 10, but I think for Giannis, the better thing to do is actually look at the base, because the population on the silver is just 88, and the total number of sales, as you can see here, there's a few there the last 12 months, but it's really not much. I think we'll see heaps more on the base, which I think will give us a bit better of an idea in terms of trends. So you can see here straight away, look how many more sales is there. Population is 3,251. That's the only thing about that. So technically he's actually gone down, I think, since the trade. It's only a little bit though. He's gone down about $60 since the trade. But this card, this fluctuates. I was actually looking at the PSA 9 the other day and doing a segment on this, and the fluctuation on this card is amazing. You can almost
like a little roller coaster.
Almost make the argument you could sort of fluctuation trade this card. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually all over the place.
If you did miss that,
it's currently up.
Well, if you did miss that segment that I was doing, because I think when I did that segment, I actually thought it was around the $150 mark.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good purchase.
Not bad, right?
I'm going to double down on that. I feel really happy with that as a find. I think particularly when you look at the price difference between the 9 and the 10, I think that's something I want to do a bit more work on. Like when there's a massive discrepancy between the 9 and the 10, it's not massive, but it's 3x in this instance.
There's room.
I think those gaps can close, and so I think that's a really good way to actually look at a card and like try and find a little bit of value there.
Well, especially when you can't afford the silver. Like when the silver is so far out of reach, you got to think of the alternatives.
Oh, I think absolutely, and the train is gone on that card. It's $7,000 US. Like that's a really big ball of cheese. Yeah,
for us mere mortals, that's well outside of reach.
Who else on the roster should we talk about before we move on to the next trade?
Look, Davion. I mean, he's young. He's getting minutes. He's gonna be a starter this season. He has shown that he's got flashes to do better. So it'll be his first starting gig after being a rookie for so many years.
Look, from my perspective, I'm probably the wrong person to talk to about this, just for the fact that he was a Kings rookie. So like clearly I'm biased in this space. I've actually got a fair bit of this guy just from going into breaks and just picking up sort of random bits and pieces. But my take on this guy is that he's an excellent 3-and-D player. And he would be perfect on the Spurs. He's the type of guy that would just fit into a system, once he was put into the right system. So I've got really high hopes for him in Miami. And if he does end up being the starter, I wouldn't be overly surprised because he is competent on both sides of the ball and he's actually getting better. He's shooting in particular. And look at the prices on this guy, $15 for a 1-and-1 on card autograph. Obviously the one touch on this is scratched and the photograph is terrible, but I'm sure the card inside that's absolutely lovely. Look at this. This is the Spectra RPA tricolor patch there for $30 US. Again, on card autograph. Like someone like this is really a bargain basement purchase. And you might see a bit of movement on this guy.
Just a fun little side PC, like it's not always going to be about make money. But if you want to just collect somebody who's fun, going to give you some minutes on the court, and you know he's a starter, I think that's the part of collecting where you actually get to watch your player grow. And we talked about it last time when I was on, where my buddy Josh collecting Mitchell Robinson, having meaningful minutes in a meaningful playoff run in a championship season, getting to watch him and he was peanuts to collect, but that's his PC player and he gets minutes and he gets to play.
Probably cheaper than Davion Mitchell, to be honest. Sure. Like centers really go less than point guards. So that's his true vertical RPA that sold for $287. So
so you see, like comparatively, if you were trying to go after a Giannis or Hell Shaq or it'd be way too expensive. You got Wiggins also signing a 3-year, $64 million deal. Solid little pickup, not breaking the bank. Once again, $30 million roughly, or $20 million-ish every year going forward for the next 3 years is a good little pickup. NBA championship vet, good scoring pedigree, just a nice addition and a good guy to kind of throw the ball out to on the wing alongside Tim Hardaway Jr. as well.
I think now is a really good time just to refresh everyone's memory on what the maximum salary is in the NBA. So 6 or fewer years in the NBA, it's $41 million a year. 7 to 9 years of experience is $50 million. So for, just for some context, that's about 50% of the max. So I actually think even though Andrew Wiggins probably hasn't lived up to his true potential that everyone was hoping for, him being the number 1 overall pick, he plays both ends of the court. He's a really good rebounder. He's never the type of guy who's going to be making waves in the locker room or anything like that. So I think him as a role player, as a second, third, or fourth option is what you want, and that's sort of about the salary where he sits at for me. So I agree with you. I think this is a really tidy little deal, and it's a good pickup for the Heat, to be honest.
It's a very Heat pickup, like he's just a solid vet, not going to make waves. Very Norman Powell, comes in, does his job, scores his 15 to 20 points.
And so what? It's just saying in the comments here from Drew It Up, shaved almost $9 million from his player option. So Pat Riley strikes again. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? The Heat bring him back and save money. That's just fantastic.
That's very Pat Riley.
Are you buying Andrew Wiggins though?
Look, I had some Andrew Wiggins back in the day, and he was probably one of the rookies that burned me when I was like back in my prospecting years. So I've learned my lesson prospecting fresh rookies, and Andrew Wiggins was the catalyst for that.
I mean, I'm actually going to say that's not bad for a silver PSA 10, $41.
Yeah, he's a fun collection. He's a fun, once again, another great player you just pick up. He's going to get minutes. He's going to show up on the court. He's not going to do dumb stuff off the court.
And $10 for a base.
Yeah. But once again, though, this probably won't grow. I'd put this in my column of it probably won't grow and explode.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll give you that. It's more of a PC only sort of pickup, isn't it? But also, too, when does it get to a point where people are undervalued, though? So, see Kevin Durant, see Shaquille O'Neal. At some point, the tides turn and then people start to realize there's a bit of value in these guys. Do you ever see that happening with Wiggins?
He's won his NBA chip. I think he'll probably join the pile of other NBA players that have won NBA chips and played meaningful minutes, but his value probably won't explode and take off.
Yeah.
He wasn't you kind of go back to even was it Big Shot Bob and Robert Horry? He's got 7 chips and
but no one's collecting his cards.
Where's his value sitting? So I think he'll join Big Shot Bob. He'll be one of those memorable players that us as fans of the NBA will remember him being a solid player, but as collectors and his value, probably won't.
No, good call, man. That's really good. All right, LaMelo Ball's also on the move. I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah. You were surprised about this one? I was actually, to join you, I was equally surprised.
Just for the fact that...
Yeah, they were so good.
Yeah, that he was good, but more to the destination that he went to. I think there's been a little bit of innuendo that the Hornets were trying to move him for a year and a half. And so that part of it, I'm not too surprised about. And also to the assets that they got back, that I think you can't say no to that type of package when it's being offered for a player like that. And so what I'm very interested in and what I really want to read more about is the Wolves, because I think they're actually a deep analytics team. So the Gobert acquisition was all driven by defensive analytics. And I think that the Naz Reid contract was also an excellent contract. And I think that's actually a really big piece of this trade in terms of the talent acquisition for the Hornets. And so I think that the Wolves are actually a lot more competent of a franchise than we probably give them credit for. I think just traditionally they've been so terrible for such a long time. It's almost hard to sort of see the transition, but my gut feeling is they've got an elite scorer with Anthony Edwards. We've got an elite defender with Gobert, and now they've got an elite playmaker. And can those 3 pieces actually coexist together and do really well? And my gut feeling is yes, because this is my analogy on this is the Lakers last year. You had 3 fantastic players, but a lot of the skills that Luka, Austin Reeves had, and obviously Luka Doncic, was that it was all skill duplication. Whereas what you've got here is 3 really talented players that all do 3 very different things. And so I really hope that LaMelo goes in there and just becomes this energetic floor spacer, playmaker, creator that sets up LaMelo, sets up Gobert for lobs, and Gobert is just cleaning the glass, blocking shots, and then Edwards just gets to go out there and do his thing and just become this ball swinging, high swagger, high scoring, dunking machine. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of, I'm hoping this is the high end of how this all sort of plays out. So I love it when teams...
you love it when teams,
just swing for the fences and just have a go, man. And so I think good for the Wolves.
Yeah. They're not scared. They are like you said, they are swinging for the fence. This also, don't forget, they still got Ayo Dosunmu on this lineup along with Jaden McDaniels. two guys who really showed in the finals what they're capable of if left with the keys in the to the car, and two very competent players that go both ways as well. So this rounds out the lineup. It's just like Ball, Antman, Gobert, Dosunmu, McDaniels. And yeah, obviously they ship off Reid, who was the sixth man of the year. But like you said, really great contract to ship off. Very flexible, good potential for the Hornets. They also get an unprotected first round pick, 2033 unprotected, and then some first round pick swaps from 2028 to 2030, and then three second round picks. So that's a lot of picks potential going all the way.
It's an insane amount. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's an insane amount.
He definitely played well last season to deserve it, though. He was part of the reason why the Charlotte's resurgence last year.
The Hornets also created a trade exception. So essentially what that means is in the future, if they are over the salary cap to acquire a player without having to send out any matching salary in return. So I think that's a really big deal. My fake trade that I was hoping for to happen next was that then the Hornets would take in Ja Morant into that trade exception and then be given picks to take on that salary. So then they've like double dipped on in terms of getting rid of LaMelo, getting in a whole bunch of draft picks, then replacing that talent with Ja Morant and also getting more draft picks again. But obviously we know that didn't happen. We can segue into that in a second. But just really quickly on Ayo Dosunmu, I'm not super high on this guy. So he's 6'4". For me, that's a little bit of a tweener.
Yep.
And I like his game, like don't get me wrong, but I also hope that they don't sign him for too much money. Like if he gets less than Wiggins' contract, I think that would be a good outcome. But actually looking at the contract here that's on Spotrac, which is fantastic, they're predicting 19 million, 20, 22, and 23, which I suppose is like Wiggins-esque numbers, isn't it? So
well, the cap being 40, so
yeah. Look, I'm very middling on this contract and this sort of act. Like he was good for them last year, but I don't think he's like $23 million a year good. That's my sort of gut feeling in that space.
Yeah, look, he's just a very serviceable player. I mean, like over at Chicago, he was pretty decent, and he came over and joined and had some instant impact over at Minnesota as well, because it became too much of an Ant-Man carry the ball show. And so like, when you put LaMelo Ball next to Ant-Man, next to like the Sumu and McDaniels, it becomes much more harder to guard them as a team. When it's just one guy holding the ball, it's kind of like, okay, well, we kind of know what we got to do, but when you've got like a floor general like Ball who sees the court, at a more than elite level, it becomes a guessing game now. It's like, what's he going to do? Is he going to lob it? Is he going to pass it? Is he going to shoot it himself? Or is he going to like create something for Ant-Man? And it gives Ant-Man somebody that, finally a Robin to his Batman.
He's a dynamic playmaker.
Oh,
he really is.
Look, I told you last year, like Charlotte was my league pass team last year. Yeah. And they did not disappoint me.
I think we have to talk a little bit about values here because I think potentially this will affect Anthony Edwards, and I think this is going to definitely impact LaMelo Ball. And the very, very early signs of this, he's already ticked up.
Yeah,
it's about $100 already.
Well, they paid him. It's what's interesting is that they were both from the same draft class, weren't they? So it's just kind of like it's pretty crazy to have these two guys join, and they're pretty much reaching their primes. They're getting close to their primes now. So like you get to see two great talents join together in their prime. And young, exciting pair too.
Yeah. Look, I'm really happy that LaMelo Ball's value is going up because I think a lot of people put a heap of money into this guy. So if people can now recoup back some of that money, as his value sort of goes up a bit, people start to get a bit more excited about it because he is now going into a contender. Like this isn't just sort of a middling Eastern Conference team. Like this is going to be a legit contender in the West next year. So I think this is going to be very, very positive for his value. And so I think if you're holding him and you want to get rid of it, begin to get yourself ready to move these cards off. The question is, should you be buying into him and then looking to flip at the end of the year when the playoffs come around? Like you could also make a pretty strong argument for that too. I think people love this type of stuff. I think in terms of a good thing for the hobby. This is the
Yeah.
hobby dream, isn't it? Having these two
Yeah.
guys together.
Yeah. And like also like it just makes this like already pretty loaded West even more loaded.
It's
So
crazy.
like now you got like even more craziness happening.
Yeah.
Another decent power, rising. And Minnesota gave teams real trouble last playoff.
Anthony Edwards' population on this is 2,285. He's actually just entered into the $1,000 club. So congratulations to him.
Wow.
He's sort of been floating around that $1,000 mark for a little while now. He hasn't seen any dramatic rise, just like LaMelo Ball has, but he is, in the last month alone, he's up 20%. So yeah, I think
Antman was always a pretty safe, or like, I mean, out of the money you can bank on a player playing right now, he was always pretty good pickup. Like, I never really poo-pooed anybody who's going like, I'm going to buy some Antman. I'm like, hey, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Like
We've been
he's
talking about-
exciting. Yeah, he's exciting. He's a guard. He's a guard. He's exciting. He gets headlines. He does like exciting stuff. He gets highlights, you know. And yeah, I mean, the only stuff he does outside of the court is shag women and have babies. So, like he's living the rock star lifestyle. He's being,
That's right.
he's not doing dumber stuff, I guess, like he's not, hitting children or like pointing guns around,
He's not committing crimes. I think that's
he's not committing crimes. Yeah, he's not committing crimes. He's just doing what athletes do.
Look, I think that he's going to probably keep sliding up this year. I think this very sort of steady trickle up that we've seen, I don't see a good reason this is going to not happen or not continue to happen.
No. Look, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if anything happens to Antman values.
I think what my underlying concern is like, what is his peak going to be? And at what point do people sort of start to unload these because they're tired of that investment cycle and they're not actually there to collect him anymore? I think that's the part in the back of my head where I'm not too sure about, but I think I was so wrong about SGA. I was very wrong about Jalen Brunson, and maybe you just have to just ride with it until something terrible happens, until he has a terrible injury or he does commit a terrible crime. And until that point, he's been not injury prone.
I mean, like probably the last time we saw a real big surge was probably last year's, like the year before's finals, where he had that, that real crazy run and he was playing absolutely on fire.
So
this year
June,
he didn't
25, I think that's what you're referring to. There was a very steady uptick there.
He's the Michael Jordan's baby. He's he's Michael Jordan's son, and he's the second coming of MJ peak. We didn't get to see that this year. Minnesota, he was mainly injured. He was mainly hobbled. He still had some amazing moments, but he was still very hobbled from that knee injury. That was just a freak accident. Like he was balling.
So already on today's show, we've covered Giannis trade. We've covered the LaMelo Ball trade. We have not covered the LeBron James free agency announcement. And before we even get to that, we're going to get to something bigger, which is the Ja Morant trade. So just a fun off season so far.
It's been an amazing trade season. I mean, when I approached you about this idea of talking about, it was originally going to be a draft show.
We haven't mentioned anything about the draft.
And then all this craziness went down. And in between that time, even more trades happened. So I guess we should probably move on to the Ja Morant movement, right? Which is
100%. Yeah.
Which is what the Ja Morant goes to the Blazers for Jerami Grant and Kris Murray, and no picks whatsoever were moved.
So
what are your thoughts?
The rumors behind that is that teams were asking Memphis to give them draft equity. So in terms of this trade here, it's actually a win for Memphis because they haven't had to give up equity to get rid of this guy. So that sort of explains the draft, the lack of draft assets being moved, considering what we just saw with LaMelo Ball.
His value just cratered almost. Like this was a guy who's two-time All-Star. Peak of his powers probably like 2 years ago when they made that playoff run. Maybe even 3 years ago now, that playoff run. That was like the good old days of Memphis where they had him, Jaren Jack, Triple J, They had Dylan Brooks, and they had Bane. And I don't think they've actually been able to return ever since that fateful run where they were good in the West.
Did you hear last week's episode that we did with David Love?
Yes.
So I asked him about his injury history and what should we be worried about.
Yeah.
He actually didn't give me anything that was going to make me super worried. The guy that he actually was like, oh, that's a bit of a worry was Zion. So
yeah.
I actually think health-wise it's not going to be an issue. I got to tell you, man, I think there was a lot going on between the coach and the team. It wasn't just a Ja Morant thing last year. I think there was a lot going on.
Yeah. Oh man, like that bench was so fractured. It was not funny. I've never seen a team there was just no hype. There was just no love on the court anymore.
And if it does come out that there was a rift between the coach and Ja Morant and the Grizzlies organization went with the coach, and I predicted this last year because I actually saw one of their games and the whole body language and the sets they were running for Ja and just everything was just it was never going to be a good fit. I think the personality of Tuomas is just not right for Ja Morant and what he needs.
Yeah.
And the sets, just I don't want to go back through it again, but honestly, I want to hear the locker room scuttlebutt around that. I really do. And if that is the case, and if that's the case, like the general manager has to be fired. You cannot pick this coach who is not really that proven at all over Ja Morant. It's just insanity. Talent wins. Head coaches are great, but they don't win.
Well, they have, and that this gives Blazers a pretty tidy lineup of Morant, Avdia, Lillard, Scoot, and Klingon.
Yeah.
So, kudos to our friend Big Al for sticking to his Scoot pickups.
I mean, is Scoot and Ja Morant going to be playing at the same time? Because actually, I think if anyone's going to be saying RIP, it's going to be Scoot collectors. I think that's a terrible thing.
Scoot can come off the bench as a sixth man.
Yeah.
He definitely played meaningful minutes last year. Like he just come off and microwaves, get 10, 15.
Yeah.
And his shooting has improved.
Yeah.
His health has improved. He's just more steady out there. Having watched a lot of Blazers games this season, they were my number 2 league pass team this year. And just watching the growth of Avdia and Scoot come together, that was pretty fun.
So shout out in the Instagram comments, Roscoe_O, let's go Jailblazers 2.0. Do you think that that's a risk of happening? They're going to have a Jailblazers 2.0 scenario?
Not quite. You can't match the Rasheed Wallace era Jailblazers. That was something special.
I agree with you. I think looking down that roster, there's no one else there that's actually got behavioral issues at all. Drew Holiday is an outstanding citizen. You've heard nothing bad about Scoot. You've got Klingon.
Tumani Kamara has been steady.
Denny is clean. Yep. Damian Lillard is the epitome of a professional.
Yeah.
And Shaedon Sharpe, I've heard nothing bad about this kid either. So, look, I actually think the Blazers have done a really good job of retooling this roster. I think the Denny Adjava pick was an absolute steal. I think Kamara is going to be a fantastic NBA pro.
Yep.
Klingon looks like a pretty serviceable big. Young Hansen seems to be pretty talented, and he could go sort of either way between a bench player and a starter.
Yep.
Lillard, I think, actually can coexist with Ja Morant. I think they'll be very, very small in the backcourt when that happens, but it'll still be fun to see. Shaedon Sharpe has got a heap of potential. So, look, it's going to be a fun roster. I didn't watch very much Blazers at all last year, man, but I think there's enough here to actually tune into a couple of league pass games this year.
I mean, there was a reason why they made the play-in, and they actually managed to do a little bit of damage on the way through. They managed to get their way into the finals. Albeit they had to play the Spurs first, but
when you say it like that, they're a play-in team, and then you add Ja Morant to them. That's actually it's pretty juicy, isn't it? When you say
it, it'll be fun.
So the public sentiment's actually swung already. So he is up from $185. His last 2 sales was $288 and $291. So obviously there's a bit of positive public sentiment there. Is this the moment in time where you're buying into Ja Morant, mate?
Look, I would have bought before the upswing. I was definitely buying a little bit when he basically hit rock bottom. I think I joined a few people, and I think even a few times before that, I always believe in buying in the dip. And
Yeah.
Ja Morant was definitely one of them. He didn't get hurt so badly that he's just doing dumb stuff. Like when he first got suspended, it was just dumb stuff. He didn't go get hurt. He didn't, it didn't affect his, but then he eventually got injured. And that's when it started to worry me a little bit because players like him who are so dynamic, who rely on their dunking ability, injuries to the knee, injuries to the ankle, injuries to the foot, like that's the kind of stuff that scares you when you're collecting Ja.
I think the concern is valid, but has the pendulum swung too far the opposite way? And
I think
so,
I think people have just been hungry. I think people have been waiting on Ja. Like the people who've held on to Ja have been waiting for this moment.
yeah,
And they are probably using this opportunity now to recoup some money that they lost.
yeah, and that's totally fine. I think, for example, so at the moment he's trading at $290.
Yeah.
Denny Adjiva is not in the card ladder system, so I'm just
Yeah.
using the sales feature here.
Yeah.
But 300, 285, 280.
Yeah.
He's technically more expensive than Ja Morant is. So I think in that instance, you can make the argument that he probably is a little bit undervalued at the moment. But
He's
if you're asking me who I've got my eye on this roster, it's Denny. I think this guy is an absolute stud. He is such a hard worker, man. You can't help but get behind and, feel good watching this kid play. I think there's a lot to like about this
He was
guy.
one of
But
my favorites to watch last year.
yeah,
I mean, he just puts his head down. I was actually worried that Wemby, when they played that Spurs series, I was worried that he would get a bit exposed because his game was attack the ring and and attack the paint. And what happens when you attack the paint and there's a 7'5" monster waiting for you, and he showed that he could still get the job done.
yeah, he's an absolute beast, isn't he?
Yep.
Alrighty, man. Next up, we're going to talk about the Toronto Raptors and the Kawhi Leonard trade.
He's back. He's back, baby. I was actually kind of quietly smiling when this happened again. I thought it was actually like was my NBA feed kind of like broken? Did I kind of like step back in time and it kind of just showed me flashback trades?
Yeah.
And then I realized that actually was a real trade. He's actually gone back to Toronto, and the Clippers will receive Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, two unprotected first round picks in 31 and 2033, and a pick swap in 2027, and two second round picks. So not a bad little haul for Kawhi Leonard.
So I think my question to you is why? Like, why are the Clippers doing this trade, and why is the Raptors doing this trade? What's your take on that?
I think look, the Raptors felt that they were close last year. They felt
close to what though? Like, I don't know about that.
They played a lot better than people expected, to be honest. Like they were they were a well balanced team, three stars, all coexisting, all like RJ Barrett, Barnes, and Ingram all had decent numbers. They were all like in the high teens. They were a very hard team to kind of pin down and stop offensively when everyone scores, So I think they made this move because it worked for them last time when they had Kawhi in the building. So why not run it back again? And you can move off Ingram, who was probably going to be a bit more expensive. He's going to get a bit costly. So, and yeah, Grady Dick eventually is going to get, you're going to eventually have to pay Grady because he's almost out of his rookie contract.
Yeah. So this is my perspective. I think that from the Clippers' point of view, they were unloading the Kawhi Leonard contract.
Yep.
Last year, this was probably one of my favorite stories. It actually flew a little bit under the radar. He signed a no appearance contract with a company that Balmer had put a whole bunch of money into. So another way of saying that is that he signs a contract with a company, Balmer gives them a whole bunch of money, 50 million. They keep 5 million and give 45 million to Kawhi Leonard. And so essentially you're just paying an athlete under the table, which is a complete circumvention of the salary cap. And I'm actually not too sure if this has all been finalized yet. So potentially there'll be, even though they've traded him away, they can still be penalized for this in the future. But I believe it's got to do with that in terms of just sort of removing themselves from that part. I think the other thing that the Clippers quietly did last year was get a little bit younger. And so Kawhi Leonard is now 35 years of age.
Yep.
And that actually takes me to my next point. I don't understand why the Raptors have invested into this guy when you got Scotty Barnes at 24, Barrett at 26, and quickly at 27. Like, he just doesn't fit the timeline for these guys. And I don't think he's got enough left in the tank to actually push this team over the top. So that actually makes me think that it's more about unloading Brandon Ingram, who essentially became the scapegoat in the playoffs last year. I think that when you're paying somebody $40 million a year, I think that's reasonable to expect them to get 25 or 30 points in a game. And he did. He played terribly. But I don't think that he was the cause of their problems last year, to be honest with you. I think there was a little bit more going on with that roster.
Yeah. He was good, but he wasn't great. And I think he needed to be great.
He was not great.
They needed him to be great. And he just wasn't great for the $40 million that they were paying him.
Yeah.
So I think, look, they bring back an old favorite. They run back an old favorite. Kawhi, was supposed to, get his chip and stay. And actually, no, he was supposed to leave. Actually, he never promised them anything. He just said, "I'm just going to come in for a year and get the job done." And he came in for the year, got the job done, got them a chip. And so, he's a good look. He's a good vet. For the minutes that I saw him play for the Clippers this year, he was definitely still Kawhi. Even in the All-Star game, he still was Kawhi. One of the quiet superstars in the league. So,
look, I'm a huge fan of Kawhi Leonard. So I think if I'm going to say this, I feel like I'm not going over the top saying this, but you can't rely on this guy anymore. He's sort of a 45, a 50 game a year guy. I mean, come on, we all sort of know what this guy is at this point. So I think
probably Toronto are hoping that their young legs can kind of carry him through the regular season and then just unlock him just before playoffs and, dust off the cobwebs and go Kawhi, just wind up that little mechanical gear and kind of just let him loose in the playoffs, right?
Let the Terminator free. Look, maybe I'm being too pessimistic about this and I need to be a bit more optimistic. I think you're right, man. I found the numbers for Brandon Ingram in the playoffs. So 12 points, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, 0.6 steals, 0.8 blocks, 2.2 assists, 3 rebounds. It's all pretty anemic stuff. It's nothing that you're going to write home about. 32.8% from the field, 38 from 3, 73.9 from the free throw line. Like it's pretty average stuff, isn't it? When you're paying a guy $40 million.
You've got some highlights, well, also some serious lowlights between some, middling games. Like he was 5 of 9, 17 points, then 3 of 15 for 7, then 5 of 9 again for 12, and then 6 of 23 for 23, and then the piece de resistance 0 of 2 for 1 point, but he only played 11 minutes, so can't really.
That's fair.
That's fair.
At that point, yeah.
I was just like, you can't do much.
Have we covered everything on that?
I think so. I think the look. The jury is still out on whether this is going to be a good trade or not. But I think it does kind of fill 2 gaps for 2 things: a scapegoat in Brandon Ingram, and Clippers can put some distance between themselves and Kawhi.
Yeah. Look, honestly, does anyone really care about this trade ultimately?
Of everything that's happening, probably not so much.
Yeah.
This will go right under the radar until we start next season.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some fans out there that don't even realize that Ingram's on the Clippers.
No. Or they even realize that he was even on Toronto.
All right. You want to talk about the Grizzlies roster? Do you want to talk about the Grizzlies roster, or should we talk about LeBron James at this point?
Look, I think we should talk about LeBron. I think it wouldn't be fair to LeBron and what he's, if we skip him and talk about the Grizz. But yeah, he's finally said goodbye to the Lakers. He's told them, look,
he didn't do a TV special though, so I'm a little bit disappointed with him, to be honest, man.
He can't look. He got his agent to do the job. He told Rich Paul, "Hey, tell them I'm not coming back," and he's not coming back. But in true dad fashion, he managed to secure his son the bag beforehand, though.
That's right.
He managed to get Bronny James one last contract guarantee of $2.3 million before he walked out the door.
Yeah. That was actually really well played by the LeBron James family. Alrighty, so I think at this point, there's nothing really to report here. This is all just pure speculation. So my question to you is going to be, what's your top 3 favorite landing spots for this guy, and why?
I mean, look, a pairing with Curry has always been in the hopes for a lot of people because we see them play in the All-Star game, in the All-Star games, and in Team
The
USA for
Olympics.
so many years.
We know that
And
Draymond and LeBron have got business ties together and they hang out socially. So yeah, I agree with you. That's on my list. Yeah.
they're buddies, man. And like I think, look, even Draymond not taking his, like, he didn't opt in on his player option, which was a sizable chunk for a guy his age, like 27.6 million. He turned that down to be a free agent.
I heard part of his podcast today. He actually said that he did that on purpose to give the franchise flexibility and a chance to retool. Yep. And so he's basically just said, like, this, the way I interpret that was like, they've done so much for me, I'm going to do something for the team. Like, I love that stuff so much. And it actually takes me back to when Gary Payton, Karl Malone signed for a minimum contract to go to the Lakers just to make a juggernaut team. They never won the championship, but just the fact that they would actually do that to give themselves the opportunity, like, that stuff just speaks to me on such a level.
Yeah, it's just like sacrifice, like, just kind of the humbling of these great giants, right?
Yeah.
I love that too. You know, like I love the stories of the players who come from nowhere, like the Alvarados of the league who've just like come from nothing, you know, and
You're referring to Draymond being a second round pick. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like Draymond was a second round pick. No one expected much out of him. Came on to become one of the most defensive, fiercely defensive players in the league, one of the best. Very cerebral player, high IQ, and very well respected.
Yeah. All right, Lakers is your first pick. What have you got your 2 other picks?
I wouldn't mind. Look, I think at this stage it's nostalgia, right? You're either thinking a back to South Beach situation where he can ultimately go join, Giannis and Bam and be, and
that's a logical spot. Yeah.
It just depends for how much though. Like yes, we've all talked about LeBron having made his millions. How much would he sign for? Like, would he do a vet minimum to join a team that's a contender? I've just look, every angle has told me no, he won't do that.
So he won't listen. He won't listen about this on his podcast today. He said that LeBron hasn't asked for a dollar figure. He's seeking happiness, which implies that he will take less money to make it happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to see that because like he's opted in at every opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
He'd look every turn he's always chosen the money. He's had opportunity at the Lakers. I remember, talking to ads about it too. Like it was, like he said, he's always put the financial benefit of his family first before the team. Yeah. I haven't seen him sacrifice yet, so I'll wait to see if he does. But if he does, Miami would be the perfect place for that. Take less money to go join Giannis and Bam, where you've got 2 real, juggernaut centers and bigs that he can just lob to, that he could just pass the ball off to. And he's also got 2 other strong vets in THJ, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Wiggins on the wings.
Yeah.
Davion Mitchell to back it all up.
Number 2, you got one more, or that's it?
Look, number 3, the other thing that has been popping up is obviously just the nostalgia tour. Is once again go back to Cleveland where it all began. Oakland is where his heart is, and he has been proudly repping Oakland. There has been talks that, James Harden has been, waiting to sign his deals, make his deals, in anticipation for, making space for James to land first. It'll be a nostalgia. I would not see him going anywhere else. I mean, New York? But that just doesn't make sense to go to New York.
Yeah. They're stacked already, right?
They're stacked already. They don't really need him. But like a team like Cleveland, who got a pretty good team, you got Donovan Mitchell, you've got Harden, you've also got a pretty good center, backup center, and centers in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They haven't made any moves yet, so they very, very potentially have the ammo and the parts to make it happen.
Yeah. So I like your choices, but I've gone in a bit of a different direction. I've gone more for like fantasy sort of options. I think yours are very logical, by the way, so I've got no troubles with it. The first one, Golden State, that was on my list, so that's done
Yep.
and dusted. My second pick is the Denver Nuggets because can you imagine the IQ on the court of Jokic and LeBron at the same time? I just think that would be the most amazing duo to play together. Like, imagine those two running a pick and roll together. Like, that would just be
It could still happen. I mean, there was
unstoppable.
chatter. There was chatter about, was it a Jaylen Brown to Denver for Murray? Murray hasn't been dealt off yet. There is room on the board for a Denver move.
I don't mind that trade at all. That's a really good trade because the Nuggets need extra athleticism so bad. That would be actually quite nice. Yeah. And then my
also
second,
a reliable scorer. Like Murray is a good scorer, but he's not reliable. Like he'll have a game of 40 points and then the next game he'll drop 12. You know, like I just need you to drop your 20 and just be steady for and just be steady. I don't care about you dropping 50 points and then giving me 7. I need you to just give me 20 every game, man.
I probably like him as a scorer better than Brown, actually. I find Brown a little bit clunky
Boring.
and sort of robotic, but maybe it'll be great around Jokic because Jokic would just set him up all the time.
You need somebody steady. Jokic needs somebody steady. He deserves somebody steady next to him. And like if they land Brown and then like LeBron goes, oh, giddy up, like you guys need a forward to help fill that gap. That'd be awesome. You'd have Brown, LeBron, and Jokic.
Yeah, that'd be a sweet team.
That's like if you're talking fantasy, that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, that's super fun. And just hear me out on this one here: San Antonio Spurs, right?
Yep.
I think he would be a good fit because they've got a massive hole at power forward. I think we can both agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
They're a young team that's very, very good, and he could go in there as this sort of like old mentor that knows how to play the game, teach them how to work out, how to do their rehab and recovery. They would carry most of the regular season load, and then he would just play for the most important 15, 20 minutes a game of every single playoff game, right?
Yep.
I think that he would be fantastic front court pairing with Wemby. I think he would do really well with a pick and roll, say with Fox, and I think he and Dylan Harper would be super fun playing off each other too. So I think if he went to the Spurs on the minimum, that would be amazing.
Well, this speaks to the if Chris Paul was there this year, he would have been that kind of. There was that chatter about how if Chris Paul was there, he would have been there to kind of control the team and help, control their panic and, kind of help them guide them through the finals. And if Paul was there, he would have led them to the finals and finished it and got the job done. LeBron, very much equal parts, very high intelligent player. Won't turn over the ball in key moments, which is what they were kind of lacking. When Fox didn't quite get the job done, you really start to reach for another elder statesman that could help balance the boat when the waves are rocking.
Yeah, it was tough to watch last year. It was
not to open new wounds for you, but look, I don't mind this. If
I'm just going to turn off my camera for a second, and just dry my eyes. All right,
just go
give me a minute.
Weak for a few seconds. But look, it's a great if they can afford it. I mean, look, once again, if he's willing to take pay cuts and kind of pick his landing spot, where would he do the most damage? And look, honestly, like Denver would be great pairing him with Jokic and Brown. San Antonio would be great, all that youth to carry him. Miami would be great, a reunion in South Beach. Cleveland would be. I think. Look, all of them are very viable. He's got, and look, he hasn't even said that this is his last season. So we might even get to play this game again end of next year.
He can't do it again, can he?
He's a machine, man. He was still top. Well, I'd argue he was potentially top 10 last year. Still, very easily still a top 10 player last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's 41. Yeah, it's just nuts, isn't it?
He puts us all to shame.
Yeah, definitely.
He puts us.
He's not that much.
Yeah.
I'm not that much older than him, and I can barely walk around anymore. It's insane what this guy's doing. All right, that's enough about LeBron James and his potential landing spots. You want to talk about the Grizzlies roster? Let's do that for 5 minutes, and then we can probably tie this bad boy off, man.
Look, it was a nice and neat one. They basically, obviously move off of the Jar era. That's the last piece of that playoff running Grizzlies team.
Yeah.
And they go off and they go pick up. This is basically the rebuild era. So now they've got,
This is a full-blown rebuild. It's going to be ugly this year. I don't know how much. Yeah.
This is going to be a tough one to watch
Yeah.
in Memphis this year. But they go off and they get the third round pick in Cam Boozer, who was pretty much of the draft most ready, like of the NBA draft, the most ready player, like ready to go, can kind of do everything. He can do everything. He does everything well.
I watched no college, so I'm taking your word for this, man. Yeah.
He did everything well. Like he was just steady. He wasn't like he didn't have the highest roof, like he didn't have the highest ceiling of the draft.
Yeah.
But he's definitely one of those kind of players who he brings the base up for Grizzlies who desperately need, some form of base, really, because they have no foundation to build off right now. So they got Cam Boozer to help be their new superstar. They've also got one of your defensive boy in Coward, who had a great season last year.
Just to cut you off, he's already the early betting favorite to win Rookie of the Year at plus 240.
He's steady, like I said. He just kind of does.
And that makes
everything.
sense. He's on a roster that's got so much opportunity to make shots and create shots, and if he's coming in as the most NBA ready guy, it's almost
the ball's going to be in his hands straight away. Like it's not a question of when he's ready for it. The question it will be, welcome to the Grizzlies. Here's the rock, and just take it.
Man, I think they're going to have trouble getting the ball up the court and starting offense. Like Cedric Coward is not a great ball handler.
Nope.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is a okay point guard. He's not fantastic. I think Ty Jerome is the safest guy so far I've spoken about. I think Jalen Wells, they're going to want to create offense with him, but he is going to struggle with consistency and turning the ball over. Like I like Jalen Wells, but he is not a steady hand by any metric at all.
Yep. And then they've also added in Isaiah Stewart. Beef Stew joins the fray.
What was that with Beef Stew leaving the Pistons? What did you think about that?
Look, I think they were. I mean, like they're not. They kind of they lowballed Duran, so we don't know where Duran's landing yet. I think this was kind of like the Detroit Pistons going like, you guys stank up the joint, and these are going to be our scapegoats for last year, and they're going to Isaiah Stewart and Duran are the ones that are going to get the axe for their disappointment. Like
I hope that's not the case. I think that wasn't the cause of their season ending.
Well, like like Duran just had a lackluster finals, just absolutely lackluster finals.
Yeah, sure, but that's
Stewart
not
was
the
just
reason.
a backup. Like he you can't really blame him. He just kind of comes in and gets the job done, right? He didn't do anything crazy either in this playoff. I was waiting for it, but nothing insane.
I just think he's just an explosion waiting to happen. He's just like a powder keg waiting to explode, that guy. I'm not surprised they traded him and moved him away. We've quickly segued onto the Pistons. So they actually picked up Isaiah Joe from Oklahoma City Thunder for literally nothing, just a pair of seconds.
Yep.
I think this is actually something you almost have to keep an eye on, because that Thunder team is so stacked. They actually need to give away good young players just to make room for the next first round draft pick that's coming in. So I think Isaiah Joe is going to be awesome on that team. And that's exactly what that Pistons team needs. Like another good young guard that can defend and can shoot. And so like that to me is just an absolute home run for the Pistons. And that's what I think they just need to keep doing. They just need to keep building this roster up. And I don't think making Duran the scapegoat is going to fix their problems.
They kind of needed.
They need more talent.
Yeah, I was surprised. I guess they just didn't want to pay him more. I don't know what the price was. Like you just never know what the negotiating price was. Like was Duran asking for the max, and they were like, "No, you're definitely not worth the max." Like.
Actually, I don't disagree with that, but I think what my point is though is like you just rewind back 12 months. If you had said, "Oh, the Pistons were the best team in the Eastern Conference in the regular season," you would have said, "Oh, that's fantastic! Like, well, congratulations, what a great year." But somehow it's actually gone. Oh no, that's not good enough. We're going to make Duran the scapegoat, and
They kind of folded it up, right? They kind of like, oh, let's just pack up our toys and ship you guys off, and we're done with this run. Like they had,
I don't know.
I was surprised. I was very surprised that Duran isn't sticking, or like that deal fell apart and they couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
Look, we'll wait and see, but like Detroit was definitely one of the surprise rises last year.
Yeah, definitely.
It just so happened that in the finals they got exposed. Like it just it was just very obvious they struggled to score. And so like by adding Isaiah Joe, who is a steady scorer, good shooter, someone that Cade can pass to on the wings, and now you're starting to build around Cade in a really smart way.
So he was basically asking for a max, and they're offering him $30 million a year. I suppose that is a big difference in cash, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, like if you can pay him 30, fine. I look, that's reasonable, right? For what he did, he was a regular season great player. Like he was 20 and 10, guaranteed. And then he got to the finals and he forgot how to rebound and he forgot how to score.
Okay, fine. I'm changing my mind on this. I'm with the Pistons on this one. Yeah, you can't pay that guy the max, can you? That's just going to make your team mediocre. Yeah,
you can't give him the max after that. Like if he could just show that he could, like Rudy Gobert, go on the court, play defense, and be a defensive monster, fine. Okay, you might have a case for your max, right? But he did neither. He didn't do either. Like I was just like, at least score. Don't play defense, fine. Just score. Just give us 20 points. Give us, but he couldn't do it. So, So I will wait on the Grizzlies, but yeah, they're just in full rebuild, absolute full rebuild.
Is there anyone here that you're looking to buy that you think might be worth picking up, or is this just to stay away from your perspective?
I didn't mind Zach Edey. I didn't mind Zach Edey, and I look if I was to dabble in prospecting. Oh my God, I wouldn't do Cam Boozer. Like, my thoughts on draft players and paying the premium for the rookie years. Like Cam Boozer's cards are going to be high straight off the bat. Along with the Banster, along with everybody else. But if I was to prospect a little bit on somebody fun, Zach Edey, would be a pretty fun guy to collect. He was a fun watch.
I've got a hot take.
Fire away.
I think Cam Boozer is going to be this year's Concanapo.
Ooh, like surprise superstar, or
look at what happened to Canapel this year.
Yeah. So his prices are going to shoot up hard, and then
look at this.
Yeah.
Up to 1,800 and then all the way down. In the world of NBA cards, how people love that sort of hot prospect. If he gets off to a really strong start and then reality hits as the season goes on, I think a lot of the luster and the shine will come off that card, and you'll see another Concanapo. Like he's gone from hideously overpriced. He's actually back up again, but he was down to the 400s for a while.
Well, he's back up because they've decided that they're going to move off LaMelo Ball and hand the keys to the kingdom to Con.
I think there is some truth to that, but I think that 400 is too low for this kid. I think that it went down
right
too
now,
far.
Yes.
And actually, I feel like 700 is probably a little bit too high for my liking. Like for me, 400 is fantastic, and this is a Russell special where I've talked about it, but they're not actually executed it. So, that's my hot take.
I think with Cam is the exact same thing, and I've talked about it before. You've talked about it before. In the rookie year, these lottery players, especially the top 3, will shoot up hard, and their values will shoot up hard, and then after their rookie year, watch them plummet. So if you are to sell these guys in any year, like if you join in any breaks and you hit these guys, sell in the peak, which is pretty much in their rookie year, immediately after they start getting some good stats, you can hold them for a little bit and see how well they perform for the year. The moment they start putting in a row of good games like Concanapo did and Cooper Flag did, like look to sell.
But also too, just with the Zach Edey part, are you worried that he's a 7'4" guy?
I think I just like big dudes. I think my Shaq collection is example to that. I'm just like, everyone's like, yeah, don't collect centers. Like centers are a horrible investment. and like, had I not listened to that, I probably would have collected Jokic, and I probably would be doing a lot better because there was a moment where Jokic was dirt cheap, absolutely
Yeah.
dirt cheap. Like no one was touching him.
No,
And
definitely not.
now he's into the thousands.
Yeah. It's like the Giannis train.
Yep.
It's departed the station.
Yep.
All right, man. What do you got for me? Final thoughts.
Look, final thoughts. I mean, you've also got look, hot take though. I think like OKC managed to pick up a pretty fun little draft pick in that Ade Mara kid, 7'3", out of Michigan, Michigan State. So he did win a chip with Michigan State this year with the NCAA. But yeah, Ade Mara with the 12th pick. That's a sneaky Wemby counter pick, and there was a lot of them this year. A lot of teams picked up big 7-footers, like 7'3".
I saw the combine assessment of this kid. He comped out the same as Cam Boozer in terms of speed and athleticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's freaky. He's like, look, he's got a really good wingspan. I think they said his wingspan is 9'1".
That's wild.
That's wild. He's 7'3", really good defensive instincts, really great court vision. If you go back and look at his videos, he's got some ridiculous passes this year. And yeah, he just played really well. He helped lead Michigan to a chip, and he will complement the Oklahoma City Thunder quite well behind Hartenstein. They'll give him some minutes to grow in the background, and give him the rookie season to kind of get a bit bigger, and then just trot him out whenever they need someone to stand in front of Wemby.
Yeah, they're so deep now. That's what they can do, isn't it? Just sort of alter their rotation depending on who they're playing against.
Yep.
It's just
and give Chet a bit of a break, like just go, hey Chet, go be a forward. Just go be power forward, put Ade Mara in the center spot, put him in front of Wemby. Take some grief off of Chet, because Chet, you could see he was greatly undersized. He just struggled against Wemby. So hopefully if Ade can grow into that role of Wemby stopper, and that's his only job, just get on the court and be a Wemby stopper, that'd be fun.
Yeah. No, good way to finish out the show, man. Thank you so much again for coming on. It's fantastic having a chat with you. Drop your Instagram again too, man, if just in case people don't know who you are.
You can find me at ShaqFoo32. Just posting up my new Shaqs. Look, I've been a bit more quiet of this year because I've just been focusing on condensing and growing the collection into bigger pieces. But this is what happens when you start to go into, I guess, side quest of the side quest now. Like I'm really chasing unicorns, and unicorns obviously don't show up every day.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Again, thank you so much, everyone out there. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and we will catch you for the next one.
Thank you.